All right, welcome back to ABA exam review and our RBT exam practice question series, where we're going through a set of questions together and breaking them down. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. Please like and subscribe. Check out btexamreview.com for our combo pack, study guides, exams, and of course, our full question bank. As always, let us know when you pass so we can include you in our Sunday shout out. Work hard, study hard. Let's get going. Question 1. A timer is set anywhere between 2 and 4 minutes. The client does not elope before the timer goes off, and the client is still sitting in his chair. The client receives a token. What type of schedule does this represent? Whenever we're talking about schedules, we're going to be talking about basic reinforcement schedules for RBTs, because ours is an RBT, you need to know 4 basic schedules: fixed interval, fixed ratio, variable interval, and variable ratio. And these are very easy if you break them down into their components. When we talk about interval versus ratio, we're talking about time versus responses. In this case, you're setting an amount of time. The timer is between 2 and 4 minutes, and the client has to do something, or in this case, not do something, for between 2 and 4 minutes to receive reinforcement. So is that going to be interval or ratio? Well, it's going to be interval, right? We're dealing with time. So then you ask yourself, fixed versus variable. Fixed means unchanging, so it's an unchanging amount of time. Variable means on average or changing. So if we're between 2 and 4 minutes, then the average is going to be 3 minutes. So a variable on average interval of 3 minutes. So what type of schedule does this represent? Well, it's going to be a VI3. Client can't predict it, right? It can be anywhere from 2 to 4 minutes, 2 minutes, 2.5, 3, 3.5. Who knows, right? It's on an average. It's changing and it's based on time. That makes it a variable interval. And since the average is 3, it's a VI3. Several months ago, you put your client's ear flicking behavior on extinction. It was successful and the behavior went away. Suddenly, today, your client is starting to ear flick again. How should you respond? Okay, very common occurrence in behavior analysis. Why? What is this phenomenon when a previously extinct behavior comes back? We call that spontaneous recovery. A behavior that was once put on extinction, went away, suddenly reappears. It's called spontaneous recovery. And this is what seems to have happened here. We put our client's ear flicking behavior on extinction, was successful, behavior went away, great, but all of a sudden, it's back again. We're ear flicking again. So the question becomes, how do you respond in that situation? A, immediately stop session until you get further advice from your supervisor. Well, no, that's over the top. You don't have to stop your session because this behavior came back or a new behavior occurred. That's way over the top, right? You can reach out to your supervisor to let them know, but you should still continue your session. B, inform the client's parents immediately. Again, there's really no need. This is a behavior that came back. It's not that big a deal. It happens. We have a term for it, right? So it's expected. C, block the ear flicking from occurring. Now, if we're going to block the ear flicking, we're responding to it in a way that may or may not reinforce it. What you want to avoid at all costs is when you have a behavior that was once extinct and comes back, you want to avoid at all costs doing anything out of the ordinary that might bring that behavior back through reinforcement. So what you want to do is D, implement the extinction procedure that was used previously. Since we can anticipate a previously extinct behavior recovering, spontaneous recovery, all we need to do is go back to whatever procedure we were using and keep on doing it. That behavior will again decrease. What we don't want to do is overreact. A and B, too much. C, you could be reinforcing it. Who knows? With D, at least you're doing the same procedure that you were before, giving yourself time and your supervisor time to prepare a plan. Don't overreact. Just re-implement the extinction procedure from before and continue as you were. So how should you respond? D, implement the extinction procedure that was used previously. Brianna takes data for 5 hours. She records 64 instances of the behavior during the 5 hours that she observed the learner. She now needs to calculate rate in terms of hours. What would Brianna's rate be? Question. You have to ask yourself, how do you calculate rate? Well, we know rate is frequency over time. All you're going to do is put your total frequency over your total time because we're looking at it in terms of hours. So your frequency is what? Well, it's 64. We have 64 instances. That's our frequency. We're going to put 64 over 5 and simply divide. 64 divided by 5, you will get 12.8. So in terms of hours, A, 64 times per hour. No, 64 times per 5 hours maybe. B, 12.8 times per hour. Yes, we took our frequency, 64. We divided it by our total time, 5 hours. And we get, in terms of hours, 12.8 times per hour. Not 1.1 times per hour. It's not nearly enough, right? And then D, Brianna cannot find rate with this information. Sure she can. She has her frequency. She has her time. She simply divides. Rate is just frequency over time. So what would Brianna's rate be? Well, be 12.8 times per hour. You're a behavior technician working in a preschool. Today, the learners are working on fine motor skills through painting and coloring. Your supervising behavior analyst asks you to keep all the items that the learners color and paint so that she can see them. What type of measurement can your behavior analyst conduct this way? Okay, think about this for a second. You are asking yourself, well, what type of measurement can my behavior analyst possibly get from this? She's not watching the client. She's not observing the client. She's just collecting their paintings and their colorings. Why? Well, when we take the product of behavior and we measure that product, what are we measuring? A, duration. Is she going to be able to determine duration based on the colors and painting alone? No, right? Unless you give her a time, which you aren't, you're simply giving her the coloring and painting, she can't determine duration. What about rate? Can she determine frequency and time? And no, again, you're just giving her product. So if she's going to take the product and measure the product, she's going to be using permanent product. That's the whole idea of permanent product, right? Taking the outcome or the production or the product of the behavior and measuring based on that product. The latency, of course, you can't measure latency without directly observing the client. So if you're going to take the items that the learners color and paint to your behavior analyst, and he's going to conduct some sort of measurement, it's going to be permanent product because he's looking at the product of the behavior and then making assumptions or making conclusions or drawing conclusions based on that product. So the measurement is permanent product. Gracie records the following session note after her session is over. Today, Jamie was in a good mood. When I arrived, she was playing with her brother. She transitioned to the table easily, then put her head on the table for 5 minutes because she was upset that I took away her Barbie doll during work. Is anything wrong with this note? What jumps out at you about this note? Well, think about what technician notes need to be. They need to be objective, they need to be measurable, they need to be complete. So Gracie gives a lot of information, right? Oh, Jamie was in a good mood. I arrived, she was playing with her brother, transitioned easy, told about her behavior, blah, blah, blah. What's the issue here, though? What did she do wrong? A, yes, Gracie did something wrong. Gracie should not mention the sibling. Well, no, that's good information, right? The sibling is part of the environment. Maybe it's part of the treatment plan. Nothing wrong with talking about how she interacted with the sibling. It's okay. B, yes, Gracie should not use duration measurement. Why not? Duration is totally acceptable. One of the most common types of measurement. Nothing wrong with that. C, yes, Gracie should not say the behavior was due to the client being upset. Correct. Okay. Upset is a feeling that we acknowledge exists, but we're not going to say it caused the behavior because we have to find something environmental, something observable, something measurable, right? Upset is something that exists, but we're not going to say it caused the behavior because we can't observe it and measure it reliably. So the problem here is Gracie just said, well, she was upset because I took away her Barbie doll during work. Well, we need a little more than that, right? If she said she put her head on the table for 5 minutes because I took away her Barbie doll during work, that's much better than saying, well, she was upset. Okay. We got to be objective. We have to just stick to the facts, nothing more, nothing less. D, no, this is a good session note. It's close. It's not bad. But if we're going to nitpick, then she should not say, well, the behavior was due to her being upset. We have to avoid that type of language as the cause for behavior. You're talking with some of your behavior technician friends, and you all agree that your client's behavior always seems to change whenever your supervisor is observing your sessions. What describes this phenomenon? Hopefully you've heard this term. If not, we're going to learn something new. So in this case, and this is pretty common, you when you get observed or you're supervised or whatever you want to call it, things change, right? Your behavior changes, your client's behavior changes, and that's just the result of somebody new being in your presence. Okay, and typically when a supervisor is present, things just are different because that's a new phenomenon in the environment. In this case, the client's behavior changes around the supervisor. Why? A, positive reinforcement, B, negative punishment. Well, it's not a consequence thing because the supervisor is just there. It's called reactivity. Okay, so reactivity is the idea that behavior changes in the presence of a new person, essentially, right? So that's why a lot of times technician behavior changes when they're being supervised, client behavior changes when they're being supervised. They're reacting to the presence of the new person. So what describes the phenomenon of the behavior change in the presence of this new person, the supervisor? C, reactivity. The most accurate way to define behavior is an organism's interaction with what? All right, finish with a little easy definition question, right? How do we define behavior? What is behavior? It's an organism's interaction with other items, the environment, other people, or other reinforcers. What do we know about items, people, and reinforcers? Well, we know those are all parts or things in the environment. So behavior is simply an organism's interaction with the environment. Excellent. Thank you for watching. Make sure you check out btexamreview.com. Like, subscribe. Let us know when you pass so we can include you in our Sunday shout out. Work hard, study hard. See you soon.